School watch. We broke this one. It's done. It's destroyed. But we got a new one, baby. We got a new one, baby.
What's good? Kid Jerome here. I'm working my way through 1001 albums you must hear before you die, and the 17th one is Lit Love Rule! Yeah. Lit Love Rule is the debut album by multi-genre, multi-instrumentalist Lenny Kravitz, released in September of 1989. What sets Lenny Kravitz apart is his effortless blend of different genres. There's tons of influences working behind this music. We have some traditional rock songs such as Lit Love Rule and I Built This Garden for Us. We have some funk-inspired songs like Freedom Train, Fear. We have some more pop-oriented songs such as Does Anybody Even Care, Rosemary. We even have a soul song in the form of My Precious Love. And he's very well-versed, very clearly well-researched in all these genres. It's all the more impressive when you take into consideration that he's playing the majority of the instruments himself. He's arranging the bass, the guitars, the drums, he's singing. There's very few exceptions on this album where he is not playing the traditional rock instruments. His guitar playing is pretty simple. There's pretty simple chords. It's a lot of 4/4 song structures. There's some really interesting effects on the more funky songs, some really interesting pedal sounds, but it's not really anything to write home about outside of the solos. The solos are pretty impressive. His bass is mostly just hitting the root notes. There's some really cool bass inflections on the funk tracks. There's some nice slap bass. I really appreciate those moments. The drums, they're drums. He's not bad at drums, but I'm never really blown away by the drums. There's no drum solos on the record. And his vocals are easily the best part for me. His belting voice is very impressive. It's very Prince-esque, the register he's able to hit. He has this grit behind him, this alternative kind of bluesy back of the throat sound, like he's really choking out the vocals. Pretty much the entirety of I Built This Garden for Us, you can hear this. The choruses on Blues for Sisters, Someone have great examples of this high register, gritty tone. These are probably the best parts of the album for me. While the vocals are interesting, the lyrics are pretty surface level. I was never really impressed. They felt too safe. There were moments where he was attempting to be deep, but he didn't really get too far past the surface. Some examples of this were on Mr. Cab Driver. The lyrical content is essentially racism exists and I have experienced it. And fair enough for telling your story, for sure. But just pointing out that cab drivers don't like black people sometimes isn't really advancing the narrative. We have Rosemary. It's just a song that's essentially religion exists and I'm telling a child about it. He explains how Jesus forgives sins, etc., just to a 5-year-old, and nothing else is really explored or said. I guess it means a lot to him, and I'm sure it means a lot to certain Christians, but I don't get the ultimate point. The worst offender on this album is the song length. The arrangement can be grueling sometimes. Even the songs that aren't too long, like 3.5 minutes, can feel like an eternity when nothing interesting is happening. Some examples of this are on Fear. The energy remains kind of constant all throughout the song. It could have ended after the second chorus, but instead we go into a grueling third verse, a weird bridge, and then another chorus that's exactly the same as the first two. Another one is I Built This Garden for Us. I like I Built This Garden for Us for about 2 minutes. It's a pretty interesting song. I like the chord progression. I like the energy. I love his vocal performance. I love the guitars. Why is it 6 minutes long? Why is this fantastic song so long, and why does nothing happen past minute 3? Rosemary is perhaps the most tragic example of this. I was kind of feeling it at first. The intro was really cool, but then the intro sort of bled into the verse, and then that kind of sort of bled into the chorus, and then the intro sort of bled into the second verse, and then I realized, oh, hold on, that's just what we're doing. That's just what the song is. It's not gonna pick up. It's not gonna go anywhere further. We're just in for like 5 minutes of this. So, yikes. I want to be fair to Lenny Kravitz. This is his debut album. This is the first Lenny Kravitz album. He's clearly talented. He clearly has a vision. He clearly has a huge career ahead of him. Just at this point in his career, I'm not feeling it. I think he has a lot to learn. I think the arrangements were unfortunate, but I think that he has a lot of room to grow. And I'm excited to look at what he has past this point in his career. But for this one, it's really hard to recommend. I don't know if I would recommend this album to anybody. There were a couple standout songs. I would recommend these songs. Freedom Train and Does Anybody Out There Even Care? These songs aren't too long. They stay interesting for the whole 3.5 minutes. The vibe is cool. The energy is cool. His voice is cool. I think this is a good representation of what the album should have been. Unfortunately, it's the only 2 songs I could pick out in the album that I thought were executed well. All in all, I'd have to give this album a 3 out of 10. No! Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about the album in the comments below. If you appreciate what I had to say, make sure you like. That really helps me. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss my video on Friday. And until then, peace.